Hello, this is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Manu. Our headlines this hour. 2 persons arrested in connection with the Zakuli shooting incident in the Yendi municipality of the northern region.
2 arrests now. Our main suspect, who is the man who used the motorcade to carry the suspects to the scene to carry out these offenses, was arrested.
We'll hear from the crime officer as we learn of another shooting incident involving a Fulani man. Also here on Joy News Prime, the bitter reward for magnanimity. The story of how a second-year KNUST student was allegedly murdered by his friend after attempting to retrieve a 100 cedi Ghana debt from him.
Told the deceased to sit down as, he goes to attend the nature school. So the deceased was sitting down, making a call. Then he went behind the deceased, picked the club and came and hit his neck.
We'll bring you the police account and hear from the family of the deceased. Also, fire guards several shops at the Opera Square here in Accra will be live at the scene. At 8 p.m., I'll hand over to Charles to bring us the latest in prime business. What's ahead, Charles?
Well, this evening, government is concerned about the low revenue accrued from excepts in the windfall of petroleum revenue.
We actually imported $2.7 billion. So if you look at it, you think Ghana is a net exporter. But our component out of the $3.9 billion was $500 million.
And at 8:15, we have Prime Sports. Oreku, what should we look forward to?
Well, club licensing manager Julius Emuna wants the National Sports Authority to come clear on the state of the Babayara Sports Stadium.
Our last game and our hugely successfully organized game recently, the venue that was played cannot host our subsequent match. The reason for that to happen must be communicated to the public.
We are live on DSTV, channel 421, Go TV 144. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and the MyJoy online app. Please stay tuned for details. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. Now, this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. And we start here from Accra because several shops, the famous Opera Square, are up in flames. The fire started around 4 p.m. according to eyewitnesses, and still firefighters are battling to bring it under control. It is uncertain what triggered the blaze, and many traders have been drawn to the area in a bid to salvage what they can from their property. Our reporter Samuel Kojo Brace is live on the ground and joins us. Kojo, tell us what more are you learning about the fire at the Opera Square tonight?
Ernest, I am told that this fire started from the second floor of this two-story building. It started from one half of the store and it built on to where it is now. I am being told the first floor is a place where some Chinese company, people here are not able to tell me what name they are operating under, but I'm told that's a place they use as a wholesale point for bags and plastic wares. And that is that whole stretch of a floor is engulfed in fire, and it has gone up to the second floor. That's where I am told the fire really started. The fire service is here battling to get this fire under control. But as you said, as hard as they fight, the fire still rages on. I have a trader here who sells around and is an eyewitness to this whole thing. Chief, what's your name, sir? What's your name?
I'm Kofash.
What did you see?
We are just here. We are here in the afternoon time, and it was around 4 something, about 4:20 to 4:30 over there. I was in front of the shop. We are just waiting for customers to come and buy from our shop. So I'm here with my brother. My brother was the first person who saw it. And he told me, he said, Kofi, look at it. It seems there is a fire over there. And I look at it, I said, what? What is happening over here? And I saw the fire over there. So I said, no, let's call fire people. So I just called them on 999. I just 999 or something like that. So when we call them, they know it's going, but no one is taking it. So I said, no, we have to follow. So we take a motor from here to the place, and we went to I mean, they are placed there. So when we get there, we told them. So the people over there, they say, okay, we should go, they will come. So along the line, they speak to one of their drivers. Oh, okay. So they told some of their drivers and they moved the first car. But you know, this way is a one way. So when they wanted to come to this side, it is very, very difficult because the cars are many there. And it is not easy for them to come. So we begged some of the drivers, especially the trotro drivers. We told them that, no, please, we are coming to this side, so you people should take one side. So the cars, the fire service cars, they have access to this place. So they obey what we said, we told them. So they give us one place to and we pass. So we came here. So when they came, so lucky, I mean, they did a very good job. Yes, because if not because of them, we don't know what is going to happen at the end of the day.
So I see a bank down here. I see some stalls down, but
there are 2 banks there.
2 banks.
Yeah.
And you tell me that this whole floor is just for one company?
This first floor is for the China people.
Okay.
They have been selling bags and these rubber shoes and all those things. You understand?
Okay, so we are still here at the Opera Square where the fire is still raging on, and I must say the fire service are trying all they can, but it looks like this fire is really, really a tough one to fight. Yeah, so you mean this is for one Chinese company?
Yeah, the first floor.
Okay. What about
the top
one?
That place is offices. We have some lawyers over there.
Oh, lawyers have their offices here?
Yeah, I remember there was a time, so we have some lawyers over there. And some of the companies too have their office over there. Yes. So as for that place, the top is for offices. And the first floor, that place is for the China people. Yeah.
Have they been trading here for quite a long time? Do you know how much worth of goods are in there?
Oh, I think they have a lot of things over there. Because every month they used to bring goods. So, let me speak my mind. I think they will have about more than 40 feet containers over there. They have about 40 feet containers, about 20 over there.
Wow.
Yeah, bags and shoes. Yes, for the China people.
For people who are watching us, what's the name of this building? Does it have a popular name?
Yeah, this is Opera Square, Opera Building. This formerly, it was a cinema something. It was cinema building, yes. But now individuals have rented and we are using it for shows.
So this is the building whose name has been named over this place.
Opera Square. That's it.
So if you are watching, I'm told the building that the fire is the building which is involved in the fire is the Opera building itself.
Yeah.
Well, I have a member of the Ghana National Fire Service communication team here, Alex Ken. Chief, you are the technical people. Tell us what's really happening.
Okay, so for now we can't ascertain the cause of fire, but what we can say is that our men have been working assiduously to put out the fire. The building houses 2 banks, the GT Bank and the Bank of Africa. So far our men have been able to cool and contain the building from the fire from spreading to the banks. So as you can see, the banks, the only bank that got affected was the GT Bank. Even with that was just their server room. We were able to contain the fire from spreading to the banking hall. So none of the banking halls were affected. Some of our obstacles include, if you turn your camera towards here, you realize that our men went up there, tried breaking the building, but the people have used concrete to block the wall, to block the window. So it's difficult to fight the fire. So our men had to, and you see, we could have used more time fighting the fire rather than to use time breaking through that concrete to be able to fight the fire. So far our men are using every mechanism possible. The unfortunate thing is that we have hydrants here. Unfortunately, people have built on these hydrants, and also the hydrants are not flowing. Ghana Water has not been giving us water, and this is something that whenever we raise becomes an issue, but there's no water flowing through the hydrants. So our men have to go way far, as far as Circle, as far as Osu and all, just to go and replenish and come back here. So far we have well over 10 appliances here. and everyone, and even our chief fire officer himself is here, our Accra regional commander is here, the director of operations himself is here. This shows the level of commitment, this shows the level of seriousness that the fire service attaches to this incident.
Well, I can see that, I don't know, what do you call this one? What has carried your man up there? If you had many of it, I'm sure you could have done a better job.
Okay, so we have a lot, but looking at it, just one can, because we are tackling the fire from different angles. That one is tackling from up there, and this other one is tackling from down there. So it just one is needed to be able to, it's called a turntable ladder. So it helps us to be able to reach heights in order to fight the fires from heights. So realize that it gives them a very good view of how the fire is and helps to fight the fire much better.
Okay, so what do you think is the challenge that has resulted in you spending close to more than 2 hours in fighting this fire? What's really the factor that is not helping you to quench it?
Okay, so the building itself lacks a lot of structural integrity. If you take a closer look at the building, you realize that it has a lot of cracks there. And once these cracks are subject to much more heat, it's susceptible to collapse. It can collapse at any time. So it requires a tactical approach to be able to fight the fire. We fought much more raging fires than this. 2 weeks ago, there was fire at Timber Market. Our men fought it. So our men are on top of the game to fight this fire. It's unfortunate that because it's a shop, it contains a lot of different materials. Some are very combustible. I learned some contain packs, like the takeaway packs, and then caps, and then boxes, and there are slippers, and all these things are very combustible. Also, what I suspect is that there might be some other oily or gaseous things there. So even though we fought with water, we realized that the fire was trying to reignite again. So we had to adopt the foam. So if you look on the floor, you realize that we are using the foam. So it's called the foam concentrate. It's something that we use to fight the fire.
But when I was speaking to the trader, he was alleging that when they called your number earlier, nobody was answering.
Okay, so
why that challenge?
Okay, so I was listening to him. He said he called 999. That's not our number. Our number is 192. When you call 192 also, there's a lot of people who are getting, if you spend a day at our Fire Master Control, you'll be amazed. You'll be astonished at the number of calls that our Fire Master Control receives. So when you call, it's a queue. So you might call. There might be someone on the line. So until we are done with that person, so whenever we go on interviews, whenever we do our fire safety campaigns, we encourage people to get the numbers of the fire service stations that's closest to them, so that you can call the fire station that's closest to you directly. So it doesn't have to go through our Fire Master Control before the appliance here is dispatched.
What could have helped you fight this fire better than you've done?
Well, if we had fire hydrants here were flowing with water, one, it would have helped. And if the people here gave prominence, or they paid attention to our hydrants without having to build shops on it, without having to set up their wares on this and make the hydrants a dumping space for their refuse, we could have easily tapped into the fire hydrants from here and fought the fire. But right now, it means that whenever we run out of water, there are more appliances coming though. But
it looks like the fire is still, the more you fight it, the more it comes.
Yes.
What is really...
So as I said, there are a lot of different materials in there.
That is why.
That's why.
But your hydrant, why did you also sit aloof and watch people build on them?
So the hydrants is the responsibility of the Ghana Water Company. Okay, yes, it's for us. But at the end of the day, there's no water even flowing through. The ones that people haven't built on, there's no water flowing through. Ghana Water has not given us any water. So we have to go very, very far. This appliance is from Abelenke. They were here earlier, about 2 hours ago. They came to fight the fire. They ran out, and this contains thousands of gallons of water. So for it to run out, you realize that we are fighting a fire. They had to go all the way back, almost getting to Abelenke, just to replenish and come back here. And that's precious time that we could have used to fight the water. So please, if the media will implore the Ghana Water to ensure that our hydrants will flow, we will be able to better fight fires. When the Makula fire came, the issue of the hydrants came up. And if that issue was sorted, by now, I'm sure we wouldn't be having...
Maybe you should also be doing a regular checkup on your hydrant to see how they are functioning. Maybe we wouldn't be here talking about this.
We do our regular checkup.
How I see a fire, raging on, I don't know when the fire service will be able to completely put the fire under control or bring the fire under control. But we will be here as and when it matters. We'll still come back to you with all the updates that we'll be gathering here on the ground. So this is the Opera Square building itself that is on fire at the moment. If you're saying a prayer, kindly say one. for the store so that the fire service will be able to put it.
This in. You see, people are much more concerned about their security much more than their safety. Look at a building like this. If your camera zooms in, you realize that our men had to break the wooden...
At the Opera Square there, many traders, like you initially heard, gathered to try and salvage some property at the Opera Square. The fire service says it is doing all it can to contain the fire. It's been difficult for them because there are combustibles there. The structure itself, the integrity of the structure has been questioned by the fire service. And we are there. We'll be following up to bring you more updates in our subsequent bulletins. But away from that, the Kuntanase District Court in the Ashanti region has remanded a tailor's apprentice who allegedly killed a friend at Sewa on Friday in an attempt to avoid paying a 100 CD debt owed him. Now, Emmanuel Boateng will be in police custody for 2 weeks. The Bosontri District Police Command says there's enough evidence linking the suspect to the murder of Kweku Edujemfi, a second-year student of the KNUST. The Now Jima has more on the following report.
The suspect, Emmanuel Boateng, made his first appearance in court on Monday. Prosecution in court demanded more time for completion of investigations. DSP Eric Akwabwa is District Police Commander.
Even though he has confessed, he has led us to retrieve the phone. You cannot keep a suspect for more than 48 hours in police custody. So we took him to court today for the court to remind him so that we can continue with our investigations.
Love News investigations reveal the suspect and the victim were friends. Emmanuel Boateng was a tenant in a property owned by the family of the deceased at Esreso. It is established the suspect was fed by the family of the deceased as they shared a fence wall.
It would me be fear. Nancy Mammy Yarekra Mabukobrekum. To acquire me Hano wa, Obedi ha, one me bano, or free school bassy or no man, Diagro Bah, and yes, be our name bano war. We be never bano. Just or bami fear, and ban me ban be dear good now, and what's up. Tight pa, nam 4 pa, and yago. I see me and damn 4.
Kweku Edujemfi, who was running an errand, had called on his friend Emmanuel Boateng to escort him. The suspect later convinced the deceased to go with him to nearby Sewa, requesting his assistance to take videos of a land he claims his parents had purchased. After the videos were taken, the suspect asked the victim to wait for him to attend to nature's call. District Commander DSP Eric Akwabwa says it was at this point the suspect brought out a club to commit the crime, as confessed at the crime scene.
He had already planted a club around the scene. So when deceased went with him, he told the deceased to sit down as, he goes to attend the nature's call. So deceased was sitting down, making a call. Then he went behind the deceased, picked the club, and came and hit his neck. Deceased fell and he hit him till he died.
Police have since retrieved an iPhone 11 Pro owned by the deceased from the room of the suspect. It is believed the mobile phone and an amount of 100 CDs the suspect owed the victim could be the reason for the murder. At the family home of the deceased, the parents of the deceased sit as neighbors come in to express their condolences. Saddened by the death of their ward, parents continue to ask why a close family friend could do this. Yao Edujemfi is father of the deceased.
Ya ono aso ne yebisa ne se hemfa na mo fa ya mokutukuko ne me wife na na se chini hwe akola no ono asa ne omonam e se gina ha nwumre be around be 7:30 e gina ha na police phone say boy no kutukuko me chini na o mama ne nko na me ko gina ne 10 minutes no mobile ne mbe chini ne koi.
The Kuntanase District Court is expected to sit on the case again on 9th May. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Now, a planned directive by principals of colleges of education for teacher trainees that Sprinkov to begin feeding themselves from May 8th this year due to delay in releasing of feeding grants has been botched. Prinkov says it has received more than 67 million CDs from government last week. We'll hear from Prinkov shortly, but first listen to Kwesi Kwarteng, who speaks for the Education Ministry in this interview he granted Joy News last week.
We will look at our arrears that we had, our standing arrears is for the 2020-2021 academic year. And then we're looking at an amount of Ghana 117,942,652. So if you look at this figure, in December last year, that is 2021, an amount of 50 million Ghana cedis was actually paid, which means that government ought to have committed an amount of 67,942,652. That is actually the money that was paid or released today. So those were the outstanding arrears for the 2020-2021 academic year in full. Cumulatively or in totality, the entire 117,942,000 plus includes that component which goes to the students personally or individually, and that aspect which goes to the schools, or the component that goes to the school for the purposes of feeding. Okay. And so there was an outstanding arrears of 67 million plus, which has been paid today. So, but I mean, the most important thing is that, I mean, the principle is that teachers are going to be paid their allowance due them with regards to the 2020-2021 academic year, all outstanding arrears.
And you say, when can they expect it?
Like I said, we are hoping that tomorrow, I mean, as soon as the minister makes a public statement or public declaration that it has been released, what it means is that it's moved from controller. And then GTech is supposed to also make that arrangement where half of such payments go to the various schools, whilst the other half also goes to the students. So in regards to the students, the disbursement is done through the Student Loan Trust Fund, which we believe that tomorrow that process will be done. And of course, the other part will also be sent directly to the Colleges of Education.
Emmanuel Nyamiche, who is National President of PRINCOF, confirmed this to Joy News, and he joins us live via Zoom with more on this. Mr. Nyamiche, thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. You're saying that the amount has hit your account, and therefore students and parents should not worry about feeding in the colleges of education.
Thank you very much. Exactly so. The money has been paid. We have received our check.
If you could just repeat that point for me, we missed that, the earlier point you made.
So as we well, I said that all colleges were asked to pick up their checks on Thursday. Colleges that are very close to Accra picked up their checks on Thursday. Those of us who are some distance away from Accra, we picked up our checks on Friday last week. And so today the checks have cleared, and I want to believe that almost all colleges would have had their money by now.
Mm. So does this settle all arrears for you as far as feeding is concerned?
Yes, the arrears we asked for, that's what has been given to us.
You're saying the arrears you asked for, it means that there's something that is outstanding. You still have some amount of money outstanding, but you are able to manage that.
Thank you very much. The semester is still ongoing. And so for now, we cannot say that we have any arrears because we are still within the first semester of the 2021-2022 academic year. Mm.
Well, Mr. Nyamiche, thank you very much for the confirmation. Kindly hold the line for me briefly, because there's the other part of this conversation, very linked to the feeding, is the teacher training allowances, a component of which goes into the feeding grants. We're joined in the studio by Jonathan Junu, who leads the Student Union, that's the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. Mr. Junu, thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. So what has changed across the campuses? You heard in that interview with Kwesi Kwarteng saying that once the feeding aspect has gone through, you can expect processes to start for you to receive the other component, which is your allowance. Have you received anything?
Not yet. We've not received the allowance yet. So today we went to student loan to go and find out how far they've gone with the process of getting the money disbursed to the student. So when we went there,
indeed, because he mentioned that student loan is supposed to do that.
Yes. So we were there today, and they told us that they are yet to receive the money. Okay. So we went back to GTech to confirm, and then later we had a confirmation from GTech that the money has been sent. So within the week, we should be expecting payment.
Okay. So within this week, teacher trainees across the country can expect some monies to hit the account.
Per the information we received.
You've received.
Yes.
We know that the arrears was 7 months. You had 7 months of arrears. Is that amount of money, do you know for a fact if this will cover all that is owed you?
No, it covers the 2020-2021 academic year arrears. So it means that 2021-2022, we are yet to receive that amount.
How are your students managing? How are they coping on campus? The last time SAG went on strike, the situation became so dire. There was some communication to the effect that students should contribute to help in feeding. Then Prinkoff issued a statement. You gave us an interview indicating that this was happening at a bad time because examination was happening in some of the colleges. How have they been managing?
The period has not been very fine with the students. It was a very difficult situation for them, looking at the time that these issues were popping up. So it was a very difficult situation. But with the mention of money being released by the minister, I think it's brought some kind of relief, I must say.
Okay. And the issues of school fees, we're seeing rear its head in the other universities, public universities. Some of your members have said that they rely on these allowances to pay their fees. What is the situation over there? Do you have a situation where many students owe fees at the colleges?
Yes. There are situations where students owe fees. The last time I checked from one of the colleges, the amount they mentioned was very huge. And if you ask the student, they will tell you that it's because allowances have not been paid. And I'm also aware of the fact that there are some students who were not able to assess their results because they couldn't pay examination fees simply because allowance was delayed.
Have some been forced to defer as we are seeing at the KNUST? Are we there yet?
No, we have not heard that yet. We have not heard that.
Very well. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Jonathan is the leader of the Student Union, that's the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, confirming that they have received some information to the effect that this week they should expect some monies to hit the account. We have Emmanuel Nyamicha on the line, who is chairman of Prinkoff. Mr. Nyamicha, and so going forward, the people you owe should also look forward to some payments.
Exactly so. We're hoping that as soon as we all pick up our checks, we would also do checks to our suppliers. And once we do these checks to them, we are very certain that they would start supplying food items to the colleges again.
Very well. I'm grateful for your time. That's Chairman of Prinkoff, Emmanuel Nyamicha, join us here on Joy News Prime. And we stay with education because the Ministry of Education is urging students in public tertiary institutions, especially those at the KNUST, to take advantage of the no guarantor policy under the Student Loan Trust Fund to augment other sources of funding for their education. This comes at a time when the ministry intervened in a situation that could have seen over 6,000 students of the KNUST defer their courses due to non-payment of fees. Now, speaking on the probe, Public Relations Officer of the ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, said the policy would help address the challenge of non-payment of fees.
We let Ghanaians know that when we spoke about the no guarantor policy, there's a time that it's coming to be.
So it's starting with
these people. So it means that probably there is a one-time solution to this impasse. Because this time around, you are unable to offer any excuse. Of course, I mean, you may offer excuse and present it as a reason. But this time around, you are unable to do that. And for me, I believe that is a long-term solution. Because first of all, you probably have an opportunity to benefit from any of these scholarship schemes around, being it Get Fund, being GMP, being Scholarship Secretariat. If you are not a beneficiary, it's possible your parents are fully funding for your education. Of course, there are also genuine cases where they are unable to fund for the education at all.
Okay.
You are asked to go for a student loan. Then you come with the reason that, well, I'm unable to get a guarantor. The president of the land and the minister for education is telling you that this week, hopefully by Wednesday, that barrier has been removed. And so you are going to have a situation where you walk into the student loan trust fund office. Of course, they are going to set up a center there, apply, and then the student loan trust will now have to pay your fee. So for me, even in the future, I believe that there's a long-term solution. So what it means is that if any student have a genuine issue, you quickly have to work there, because only what you need, probably like we've mentioned, is your student ID card, of course, to validate that you're a student. And I think one of the requirements is a Ghana card as well.
Meanwhile, it's imagined that several students of the KNUST are misappropriating their fees. Last week, the university's PR noted that many of them are gambling with their fees. Speaking on the probe, Dr. Norris Bakwin told the story of how a parent shockingly discovered her child was not due for graduation due to non-payment of fees after 4 years.
Parents should ensure that either they go and pay the school fees and show the receipt to the student, or give the receipt to the student, or those who give the money to their student to ensure that they pay and provide evidence. This is the way to go, because as for the policy, this policy, it has come to stay.
But with the paying and providing evidence, I'm told that the students print receipts on campus.
Yeah. So that is it. These are some of the issues I'm talking about. So if that's the case, then we operate through many banks, Ghana Commercial Bank, Stanbic Bank, all the banks we are talking about. Parents, they can spend some few time, and because if you struggle to make money to pay fees for your child, if you spend a little time, maybe like 5, 10, 15 minutes in the bank to pay and ensure that your child is in good standing, it helps. Again, MFA, I've been saying this thing. Look, there are a lot of things we cannot talk about. There are a lot of things we cannot talk about.
Please talk about it. Talk about it.
Some of the things, people think that we are trying to embarrass them. And so we need parents to follow their kids. They need to check on them, find out. Because if you come to the university and you go to the dean of student office, the student finder is able to tell you how your child is performing, the status of your child. If the child has any disciplinary issue, you will know. There are a lot of students who are even sanctioned. They have done a lot, they've engaged themselves in illegal activities, and then they have been sanctioned. Others have been suspended, and they are hanging around and still collecting school fees from their parents. And the parents themselves don't know. And then one time during graduation, and the parents think that, oh, my child is graduating, and the person comes, and then he or she is disappointed. With all of us.
You're watching Joy News Prime, and still to come in the bulletin, 2 persons arrested in connection with the Zakoli shooting incident in the Yendi municipality of the Northern Region.
We have 2 arrests now. Our main suspect, who is the man who used the Motor King to carry the suspects to the scene to carry out these offenses, was arrested.
We'll hear from the crime officer as we learn of another shooting incident involving a Fulani man. Details after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, 2 persons have been arrested in connection with the Zakoli shooting incident in the Yendi municipality of the Northern Region. The suspect, a lady, has been remanded into police custody to help with investigations. It will be recalled that 8 people were killed by unknown gunmen in Zokoli in what community members believe is a reprisal on the death of a Konkomba man. The Northern Regional Crime Officer, Superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga, has been speaking to Northern Region correspondent Martina Bugri on the latest arrest.
There was an arrest in connection with the Zakoli murder issue that happened recently, where 8 Fulanis were killed. 1 suspect was arrested and is in helping investigations. A female suspect was also picked up by the police to assist in that regard. The one who was arrested was, that one was in Yendi, and then the other one was also arrested in one of the communities which investigations are ongoing to unearth the group or the gang responsible for this heinous crime.
So we have 2 arrests now?
We have 2 arrests now. Our main suspect, who is the man who used the Motor King to carry the suspects to the scene to carry out these offenses was arrested, and he's before court, has been remanded. For now, it is too early for us to come out to tell you what he is saying. We are still gathering intelligence. We are also seeking the assistance of the communities and other persons that matter to assist the police to identify others on the run. For now, some of the communities that we believe these suspects may be hiding, our inquiries suggested that they have moved away, and we are still moving on.
Meanwhile, another Fulani headman has been shot dead in Bolado in the Zabzuku district of the Northern Region. Superintendent Bernard Ananga gave us details.
This particular one is really around Tatali area, and we haven't come with facts, or we have not yet gathered any information suggesting that it's linked to this particular one, as I'm calling Indi. These are two separate incidents that we are investigating. This one happened yesterday, and our investigations are still ongoing to identify the perpetrators of this current one, and we haven't yet concluded our investigations to suggest that it has any link with the one which happened in Zakoli.
Correspondent Martina Bugri joins us on the phone with some more update on the two stories. Martina, let's start with the Zakoli arrest. What more do we know, and what reactions are pouring in following the arrest of the two, especially from the Fulani community?
For the Fulani community, it has always been their wish that they bring those who executed this raid to bring them to book, and so it comes as a relief, but they are not satisfied because they think that more needs to be done to safeguard or protect the lives of Fulani in the country. They cite up to 11 cases of killings that have gone, they say they've gone unpunished. And so they think that it's about time something is done to stop these things from happening. Yes, they received the news, but they would also expect that more is done to save their lives.
On the latest incident, do we know some details about the deceased and what the community members are saying about the attack?
The police say the motive is unknown. They've just begun investigating and will not be able to tell what has happened, but they are asking us to give them time to be able to go into the details, and then they would come up with what they have. But for now, the motive is not known.
Martina, thank you very much. That's our Northern Region correspondent. Now, the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists is calling for standardization, continuous investment, and political commitment to malaria control and prevention. Now, whilst the association acknowledges the effort of government in this regard, it is, however, urging the use of innovation to extinguish malaria. Here are details of a statement they released in which they make these demands. And so we have that statement on your screen there by the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. It says that on the World Malaria Day, medical laboratory is vital. On this occasion of World Malaria Day 2022, with harness innovation to reduce the malaria disease burden and save lives, the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists wishes to highlight the need for continued investment, standardization, and sustained political commitment for malaria prevention and control in Ghana. So they go ahead to make some 4 demands. The first, they're calling for standardization of materials needed for quality work in diagnosis of malaria in health facilities, especially in Gemsa stain, the main reagent for malaria gold standard testing, posits that malaria microscopy gold standard test is a skill that laboratory scientists go through further training to acquire. The profession recommends that the use of competent malaria microscopist for quality and accurate results. Also, competent people are equally required to carry out point-of-care testing for diagnosis. Requires that testing for malaria should be done before treating patients to avoid wastage. And the fourth and final point encourages government and the international community to take steps to make the malaria vaccine available to the target population. Let's go on to Zoom now and speak to the Public Relations Officer of the Association, Dennis Edu-Chesi. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, it is interesting that after many years of fighting malaria, we still have challenges with standardization. How is that? And you talk about two, phases, the quality of the diagnosis and also with the professionals. Let's start with the quality of the diagnosis, the equipment and the facility.
Yeah, thank you very much, Janet. And my greetings to your cherished listeners, particularly lab scientists, for the role they play with malaria diagnosis. The point must be made that a lot has gone into malaria control as far as Ghana is concerned. And some of us have been role players. In fact, I've been part of following the guidelines for malaria diagnosis in Ghana. And the recent review that we are bringing out, the latest version, I was actually part of it. So a lot has gone into malaria control. And it is not a point that we have not had enough done with regards to standards and whatever we require to probably make the requirement and to be able to successfully combat the disease. But the point is, if we want to rank diseases that are responsible for the mortalities that we are recording in Ghana, particularly if we go into children less than 10 years, 5 years, malaria, if not ranked first, will be among the first three. So that suggests that with all the efforts that we are making, we still need to up our game. We have to raise the levels of the battles that we are fighting so that we will be able to match the disease boot for boot. I've heard someone say that if we have even committed about half of the effort and everything and all the commitment that we see around from governors through professionals to even the general public, as was done for COVID with malaria, probably for the many years that we've been battling with malaria, we would have had it gone down as much as possible.
Just to simplify it and make it easy for people to understand the issue of standardization that you raised, on a scale of, say, 1 to 10, how would you put the quality of the diagnosis we do and also the quality of the health professionals that we have to undertake these tests?
So, quality of health professionals, I can say that without any miss of words, we are having 100%, because I mentioned in the statement that training has been great. The National Malaria Control has done very well with training professionals, making them competent, and then of malaria microscopists who are WHO certified. In fact, 6 of them are at level 1. And these are people who attend the malaria certification in Kenya, and they come out or they go over there and school their facilitators. So in that regard, we tend to have great experts who are doing the work. But you see, the point is, it's not just about having professionals. It goes with logistics. It goes with consumables. And that is why in this same statement, we commended the National Malaria Control for the effort they've made last year alone, giving over 800 microscopes to the various lab facilities that we have around to help with diagnosis. But having said that, if you get blood from somebody to go and do diagnosis for malaria, you need certain stains. The stains that you are using to prepare, or chemicals in the ordinary parlance, that you have to mix with the blood, so that if the parasites are there, they will be revealed under the microscope. These chemicals, one of it is what we call the GIMSA stain. GIMSA stain is basically a stain that has been developed that any part of the malaria parasite, if it's in the blood of infected people, once you prepare it according to standard, it will be revealed. But somebody can see a GIMSA and it appears like Johnson violet. somebody can see a GIMSA and it's another grade of blue coloration. All we are calling for now is that why can't we get standards in such a way that whatever we bring into the country, wherever I sit in the country, I'm going to get the same and equal amount of whatever chemicals I need to prepare the things, because it's out of that you can get quality diagnosis. So that is what we lack at the moment, because we don't have a standard procedure for what kind of GIMSA can come into the country. And that is why we are calling for such, because such will help us to improve our processes of diagnosis.
Mr. DJC, we'll have to leave it here because of time. I'm grateful that you could join us. That's the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists. You're watching Journeys Prime. It's now time for the latest in showbiz. After this break, please stay. And it's now time for the latest in showbiz. IB's here with the very latest. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing yourself?
Yes, I'm good.
Have you been following the banter between Bridget Osu and Facebook Stonebwoy on social media? Where Stonebwoy,
Bridget had to sort of
caution,
exactly.
Stonebwoy that you are not through with that.
He's been too quick to endorse another
NFT. Yes, that is City Coin. When the issue with Men's Gold has not actually been resorted. So on Showbiz ATZ, it was a topic, and Rudy Kwache is saying, in as much as Bridget has the right to point out something for Stonebwoy or caution him, Stonebwoy also has a right to endorse. So in the studio, Rudy actually joined on phone, and this is what he had to say.
Let's not forget, Stonebwoy has a right to endorse. Nobody probably had a gun to his head to do that. It's his choice to make. So if he wants to risk it, maybe it's a new positioning that he's coming out with. But at the same time, Bridget also has a right to pull out some receipts and push some caution. Because maybe she's also doing it from a good place of, hey, my guy, there was something you were associated with. And this is another one that looks a little murky, because he's not called out Stonebwoy for all the other endorsements. He's not being called out for his Boss Energy.
Well, that was really Kwache. But Chief Moment, who was also in the studio, a poet, says that if he were Stonebwoy, he would have been hesitant a little bit because there are issues with the Men's Gold that has not been resolved.
If I were Stonebwoy, I would have been hesitant because the matters of Men's Gold hasn't been resolved, and there are a lot of people who are complaining, and there are issues. The matter has to go to court. So it's not really about what is right or wrong here, whether he was right to endorse. Of course, it was in his right to endorse, Men's Gold at that time. A lot of people endorsed Men's Gold at that time. But sometimes you just have to be extra sensitive. I mean, I think the phrase I was looking for is emotional intelligence. You have to be maybe extremely more emotionally intelligent in this regard. So I think that Bridget had a point.
Okay.
Yes, I feel that she had a point that Stonebwoy should have been a bit more cautious about where or what brand she endorses.
Yes, and that is all for Showbiz here on The Prime.
Thank you very much, IB, for bringing us the latest in showbiz. But that's our show for today. Many thanks for your company. You can log on to myjournline.com. We have many stories there. Up next is Prime Business with Charles IT. Stay tuned in.
Tonight on Prime Business, government worried about the low tax revenue from windfall of petroleum exports. We'll hear from the Deputy Finance Minister.
We actually imported $2.7 billion. So if you look at it, you think Ghana is a net exporter. But our component out of the $3.9 billion was $500 million.
Plus, cocoa boards to liaise with security agencies to protect cocoa farms devastated by illegal mining.
Also to engage further the security agencies, the law enforcement agencies, and of course, the judiciary to ensure that people who engage in this illegal activity, when they are presented before the court, punitive measures or sanctions are meted out to them.
We have all these stories and more lined up for you to stay with us. Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Charles Aite. To our first story, government is worried about the low tax revenue from the windfall of exports of petroleum products. The country is expected to earn some tax revenue from the high price of crude oil selling above $100 per barrel. A Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. John Kuma, says earnings from the windfall of crude oil is woefully inadequate to balance the import of the commodity. He tells Joy Business that although the country is earning some revenue as windfall, it will position itself to generate more in the coming years.
After over 10 years of oil discovery in Ghana, many have projected that this is the best time for the country to earn some extra income on its crude production due to the ongoing conflict in Europe, which has caused a rise in the prices. The development is due to the benchmark of $61 per barrel set by the Minister for Finance in the 2022 budget, which could earn the country some windfall whenever the price is above the benchmark level. However, the country is unable to make any meaningful income from the rise in the crude price due to its import levels. Here is Deputy Minister for Finance, John Kuma, expressing a concern on why the country couldn't earn much revenue from the situation.
Yes, obviously, but at the same time, you are also losing on your import side. Remember that last year, Ghana did about $3.7 billion of oil. But we actually imported $2.7 billion. So if you look at it, you think Ghana is a net exporter. But our component out of the 3.9 billion was $500 million. So if you are going to import $2.7 billion, then you know that you may have windfall in your 500, but you're losing so much in your imports. So that's the reality of the Ghana situation.
He, however, suggested that efforts by government to get the situation fixed, including getting the Tema oil refinery back on track, will yield some result.
TOR remains one of the strategic institutions of government and will continue not just to revive TOR, but to see how we can even, through the private sector, add on more refinery in the country.
They're still making losses and we are still paying for it.
I think that it's one of the institutions of government that we are seeking to restructure and repositioning to do better.
Meanwhile, the price of crude oil is still trading above $100 globally.
Now, Cocoa Board says it will liaise with the National Security, Joint Police and Military Task Force against illegal mining to protect cocoa farms being ravaged by illegal mining activity. Now, this comes as research by the cocoa regulator reveals that about 80% of selected cocoa farms were destroyed between 2019 and 2020 by illegal mining activity. Head of Public Affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, spoke earlier on the marketplace.
And there was the need for us as state institutions, as partners, work together in addressing the issue. One of the things the Minerals Commission indicated at the meeting was that Cocoa Board should provide data. Of course, you are aware of the cocoa management system where we are taking geographical locations of all cocoa farms. So we make them available to the Minerals Commission, and in giving out licenses to people who go into small-scale mining. Cocoa farms are not given out as places for mining. Also, to engage further the security agencies, the law enforcement agencies, and of course, the judiciary, to ensure that people who engage in this illegal activity, when they are presented before the court, punitive measures or sanctions are meted out to them, and then swiftly to discourage people who feel that, well, they have every right to destroy cocoa farms and then nothing really will happen to them. The collaboration, we believe that we'll be able to yield some result, but it requires more than that. One of the suggestions at the meeting was to also engage other institutions like the Forestry Commission, like the Environmental Protection Agencies, and all those who have some, in one way or the other, some activity to do with regards to ensuring that we deal.
Now, the Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Amapomwa Boateng, has re-emphasized that government is keen on investing in the safety of the country's cyberspace. This, she believes, will help to attract businesses into the country and support economic growth. The Deputy Minister gave the assurance at an open day event for the beneficiaries in the Girls in ICT initiative. We have more in this report.
Themed Access and Safety, the initiative is aimed at encouraging girls to opt for careers within the information and communication technology space. Girls in ICT Open Day is a week-long program which will see 100 females touring mobile network operators, ICT firms, and interact with women in the workspace. Ama Poma said cyber attacks have serious implications on citizens, especially female users, and the ministry is committed to address the threat.
So many bad things are going on that most of us are not paying attention to. Meanwhile, we have the law in place. So we are promoting it. We've been to some secondary schools in most of the regions. So on our part as a ministry, the Cybersecurity Authority is doing its bit. The non-profits or the civil societies also are promoting it. We as a ministry we started with the girls' high schools because we realized that the girls in the high schools are most often the ones that easily get attacked. We have a 292 number for cybersecurity for parents or guardians or brothers or sisters, any concerned person, to call that number and report of these incidents. Our focus has been on the mobile money fraud and all of that going on, but this is also an aspect that attention has to be given to.
Chief Executive Officer for the Kofi Annan Center of Excellence, Collins Yabua, pledged his outfit commitment to support the girls with free training and job opportunities in the future.
We will be happy to work with the leadership of MOCD for some of you girls to take part in our courses for free. And also for those who can to intern and work here during your vacations in the not too distant future. So let me now take some time and congratulate the young ladies who are here. To be here means that you put in effort and your hard work has been recognized. Well done and keep up the effort.
Some beneficiaries also spoke to Joy Business.
This ICT program has had a lot of impacts in our lives, especially we girls. We never knew that cartoons and all those things were coded, but with this program we now know. This program has also helped us boost our confidence that we can also be part of the digitalization field.
Now, at first I don't know ICT at all, but now I can go to internet, how to Google something. If you want to type a question, now I'm good in typing. I can type fast, and I'm good in ICT too. Scratch desktop like this, I can make a toy walk and then talk.
Girls in ICT is an initiative of the International Telecommunications Union supported by the Ministry for Communications and Digitalization.
Now, the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana has tightened its regulation to rid the accounting profession of any bad image. According to the Institute, the emergence of the new Institute of Chartered Accountants Act 2020 mandated to withdraw licenses of members found engaging in unethical practices. Speaking to Joy Business at the 38th graduation and admission ceremony, the president of the Institute, Professor Williams Atwilek, said the new law is binding on every member of the profession.
When the banking crisis came, we took a look at the role of the profession, and we have repeatedly said that the crisis cannot be blamed on accountants. Okay, it was a governance issue, but the contribution that accountants played, we took a look at it, and when we felt that professional accountants, although they were not the cause of the collapse of the banks, but we felt that they ought to have approached their work in a certain standard way that they did not. We triggered some process that dealt with that one. So we've since dealt with this, and we keep reminding members of the profession they need to be diligent.
That'll be it for Prime Business with me, Charles IIT. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Please stay with Joy News because we have Prime Sports coming up shortly.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Ampofo. The Ghana Football Association wants the National Sports Authority to communicate the current state of the Baba Yara Sports Stadium to Ghanaians. The Football Association's Client Licensing Department, who CAF would fall on for initial inspection of any stadia Ghana deems fit for the qualifier, insist the Baba Yara Sports Stadium is still under renovation, contrary to declaration by the NSA that work on the facility had concluded. Julius Emuna, who's the FA's club licensing manager, wants the NSA to come clean on the state of the edifice. Well, let's do some more stories and focus on the Ghana Premier League, because on Sunday afternoon, the Porcupine Warriors suffered a 3-1 defeat to Legon Cities at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Now, after the result, Bechem United had the chance to close the gap from 8 to 5 points with a win against Kerala United earlier today. But they failed as they drew 1 goal all in that game. Let's check the highlights of that. When we come back, we do some more stories.
Today, man, Julian Aquanunu, center referee, gets us underway. Now that's a lovely run there. Opportunities coming the way of the visitors now. Can he get a shot on target? Leaves the ball behind. Oh, what a sweet miss. Goes round his marker nicely. Gets in a decent cross. Oh, that was close. Whoosh. Surging forward there. Omar Bashiru laid on that pass. He's waiting for it in the middle of the box. And it pays dividends.
Classic goal. Well worked up. Fighting for all the balls. But it was Bechem United. Calmly slotting home. Bashiru started the move with that brilliant pass. But the defending from Oseko 4, not the best. And just look at the dummy. Immediately he turned. He had a vision to pick up the pass, and it was Omar Bashiru.
Have under 15 minutes to defend the home invincibility of the Nana Fosu Jiabwa Park. Shot is fired on target. Another opportunity. Oh, brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. Executed excellently.
Outstanding, amazing goal. What a goal. This is a super goal. Avagnon with a header. Okra with a setup. Kashmed, Karim, but it will fall for Okra. Just look at the turn with his back facing the goal.
Free kick quickly effected, and Julian Nunu brings the match to an end.
Let's head to Africa, where South African giant Orlando Pirates endured a nail-biting penalty shootout win on Sunday night to see off Simba SC in the quarter-final stage of the CAF Confederations Cup. Now, with nothing to separate both sides, after more than 200 minutes of football, Richard Ofori's final penalty kick sent Orlando Pirates to the semi-finals of the competition. It was Richard Ofori dancing at the end of that, because it was his penalty that sent Orlando Pirates to the semi-finals of the competition. Now, joining me via Zoom is Lorenz Kula, who is a sports journalist based in South Africa and focuses a lot on African football. Lorenz, it's a pleasure to have you. First, there's a lot of Ghanaian interest concerning this game because Kwame Pepra got the goal that tied it on aggregate, and also Richard Ofori scoring that winning penalty. Let's come from a place before these two crucial contributions and look at how both of them were perceived in Orlando Pirates. Pepra has got about 7 goals this season, and Richard Ofori has been in and out of the team due to injury. Was this the case that they have a point to prove heading into the business part of the season?
I think from a Ofori perspective, he was highly regarded in South Africa already before joining Orlando Pirates. And a lot of the fans were saying that their struggles this season was mainly missing him for most of the season. So I don't think it was something for Ofori to prove. He's a popular figure. But obviously, with the little success that Pirates have had, there are some scapegoats, if you will. On Kwame Pepra's side, there's been a lot of question marks from fans because obviously 7 goals in 30 games is not the most prolific of return, and he had good numbers at King Faisal. something that's probably lacking in his game was the assists that he brought to the Ghanaian Premier League last season before he came. But speaking to Pirates' technical team and things like that, they've got a lot of quality strikers, about 7 strikers, and he's ahead of all of them. So it shows that he's giving something to the technical team that the others aren't, and he is firstly and firmly the first choice. And when you watch him live, it's a completely different proposition from the armchair critics, because you see what he does give the game, the high energy, and I think it's a good reward for both Ofori and Pepra to obviously play a pivotal role in getting them to the semi-finals, and it will do a world for their confidence.
Okay, and this is where I really want you to come in and clarify for Ghanaians, because you are the stadium, and a lot of Ghanaians are wondering, how come Richard Ofori was 5th on the penalty shootout list for Pirates?
I don't know if that question is regarding if you guys expected him to be one of the penalty takers initially. But I think Lorch was supposed to take the 5th penalty. But the technical team, especially Nikazi, said he's one of the guys that they have the most faith in for taking penalties when it comes in training and things like that. They've never seen him miss a penalty. So Nikazi also did mention they probably should have put him on penalty duty way before this game, and they might have won a couple of other finals. So yeah, I think it was only a shock to Ofori that they're like, okay, you're trusting me for this vital spot kick. But yeah, he has his full backing of the technical team as a penalty taker.
And quite quickly before we wrap up, do you think Kwame Pepra and Richard Ofori have what it takes to go all the way in the Confederations Cup?
Yeah, definitely, I do think so. Look, TP Mazembe and Berkane are 2 incredible opposition, but I do feel that there's a vibe that's returned to Orlando Pirates, especially just having fans, just a little bit of fans again. I think that they want to do this for, it's obviously one of the most supported clubs here in South Africa. And I think that, after a long and tiring and, criticism-filled season, that this could be the reprieve that they need to just, break the shackles a little bit and, build some momentum and success with the club as 2 players that I do think have a big future for Orlando Pirates.
All right. Thank you very much, Lorenz Kula, who is a sports journalist based in South Africa who focuses on African football. My name is Ore Kwampo, and that's how we wrap up the Joy News Prime here today. You can get some more details and stories on my Joy Online /sports, or follow us on social media at Joy Sports. We'll be back again same time tomorrow to bring you the latest in the world of sport.